Yeah, a special election, I had to go from campaigning door to door to being sworn in. You know, I went from sweat, wringing sweat, from going door to door and running all over and having these campaign rallies, right? To okay, you won. Now go home and take a shower and come on and get sworn in. And then I get in here and I walk into my office and they say, "Good, you're just in time. We're in budget cycle." What impacts people more than anything, the policies that are made and enforced by the local governing boards. We have a two-party system, um, and most people are going to either identify themselves as a Republican or a Democrat. Uh, what we fail to realize is that those platforms that distinguish you with your party affiliation are normally discussions around universal health care, foreign policy, national security, uh, the federal budget, and going back to what I believe that all politics are local, I think that we can actually drop those platforms and get a lot further if we just deal with, um, the things that are closer to the community. Police protection, water and sewer, our local schools, local economy, the local hardware store, the local drugstore. Uh, Partisan politics really shouldn't have any room in our decision making. But unfortunately, a lot of time they come into play. The board member sitting across the table is a Democrat versus the one on the other side that's a Republican. I'm not gonna, vote with you because you're Republican or you're Democrat. Um, that's when the community begins to suffer.
The good news about being a mayor in a Alabama city is you don't run as Republican, you don't run as a Democrat. So I didn't. Now I am a Republican, proud of it. But you know, we're we're in this together. So we need what I try to do, and I from the very beginning is try to make sure everybody has a voice. We may disagree, but I found that if we collaborate, some people say it's not good to compromise. I disagree. I think that's how we all have different ideas. Let's collaborate and come up with a solution. And hopefully that's what we're doing. And it's easy for me because my heart and really our community heart is for everybody to succeed.
But all communities have struggled since about 2007 or 8 with the downturn of the housing. But it's coming back now, especially on the music side. There's all kind of musicians that's moved in here in this area, and hopefully that will be another little industry that will continually grow here in Coffee County. Is the music industry, and I think it really is going to.
In 2008, the world economy collapsed. We collapsed. Our city collapsed. It's very personal when friends, people you know, family have to go somewhere else to get a job, and it was happening all over. So um, the whole country, and we got very aggressive in looking for any type of investment that will create jobs, and we're talking about hopefully good paying jobs. And we started reaching out to China, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I wasn't really comfortable. I've been to Korea and Japan and Mexico and South America, but I've never been to China. So I really didn't understand why they would come back. We lost all the manufacturing to China 20 years ago. Why would they come back? Well, I do now. I mean, we're still the #1 consumer market in the world. Their labor costs have gone way up. They now have a middle class they didn't have. So their energy costs are 15 times higher than those of us in the South. But as I went to Hong Kong and Shanghai and Beijing and all over Dalian in China, none of them, they all knew about Washington and Los Angeles and New York. None of them, most of them, have never been to the South. So I'm very proud Southerner. I'm proud of who we are, the people, our work ethic, and so I decided to invite him to Dothan for a U.S.-China manufacturing symposium. You know, at first, most folks thought they wouldn't come or they wouldn't. So I was very blessed. I met the Undersecretary of Trade, Francisco Sanchez, from, he did all trade agreements all over the world for President Obama, and in Hong Kong. And he liked the fact that there was 3 mayors from the United States knocking on doors from the South, saying, come visit us. So he helped. He opened doors. I met the president of Hong Kong. He got excited. And so he introduced me to a gentleman named Mr. Tong, who's one of the highest ranking officers in China. And he was just a wonderful gentleman. And he said, there's good businesses and bad businesses. Let me help you find the good business. So he called Beijing, which is central government. And they opened the doors, and then it opened doors all over China. And we traveled, the 3 of us traveled probably 15,000 miles inside China. We spoke to over 3,000 businesses in conferences, and I was invited as the only foreigner to speak at the International China Chamber of Commerce banquet. And the only story I have is sell the South, sell Dothan, and Alabama's proven to build world-class products. I mean, I was in Dalian, which is northeast China. It's actually right next to North Korea, and I got picked up in airport at midnight, and the folks picked me up, which was a CEO club. The young lady who owns this big business came pick me up in a Mercedes manufactured in Alabama. Now that was cool. So it shows we can do it. Technically, we are as sophisticated as anyone in the world, and we are. That our labor force is smart enough and hard-working enough to build and develop and grow, because most products now are very technical versus the way they used to be made. So we've proven we can do it. We can do it. We do and can build world-class products. And once they see it, they changes their whole perspective. All we got to do is get them in the South. I don't care if it's Chattanooga, Knoxville, if it's here. Once they get to visit our people and see the things that we're already doing, not that we hope to do, that we're already doing, it opens their whole mindset. And when that does, they talk to someone else and opens their mindset. So I just think we're going to continue to, slowly, but continue to get better and better. Yeah.
You know, here's the thing, it's pretty simple. Industry is the lifeblood of any community. If you see a thriving community, you can bet money they got good industry there. Industry is what brings you your retail, because industry brings your people. We got the land available, and it's certified. You know, it's deal ready. So if they wanted to come here and pick this deal ready site, it's got water, it's got sewer, it's got the fiber that it needs for them. You know, industry, that is huge for them now. Do you have the fiber? We are growing so well that other communities, they come to us and want us to educate them on how to attract industry. How are you doing it? We all work together and step up and do what it takes to attract that industry. Like this one that we got is $100 million industry. So we had to step up and do a partnership with $600,000. Well, we did that. That's the kind of things you got to do. You know, you got to invest $600,000 or $1 million to get a $100 million company. There's no matter what anybody tells you nowadays, there's always communities that are willing to deal to get those jobs. Because once we do that, we're giving the neighbor down the street a job. You know, and then his neighbor might build a new house. And when they build all these new houses and the people come in to take these jobs, the fiber companies, and they see that, you know, the AT&Ts and whoever else, they know that that's a good investment for them because that community is growing. And if you're a growing community, trust me, those companies know it. They know you're growing. And that's why they're willing to invest in your community. They're not going to invest in a community that's dead. They know the difference between growing and dead.
We are fortunate to be in an area that is included in a major oil boom developing major oil boom, called the Tuscaloosa Marine Shale, which is an oil play that encompasses 3 Mississippi counties, 3 Louisiana parishes that we sit and border. Currently, there's a lot of fracking and drilling going on right outside the city limits of Magnolia here. And it is our prayer that that potential oil boom will also translate into an economic boom. We have to prepare for that, though. It's going to be critically important that we can lay aside our differences and our party affiliations and do what we need to do to work in the best interests of the people of the community, making sound decisions, laying foundations, building infrastructure so that when all of these major corporations who now have their eyes on this area, when they come and want to locate their businesses here, we have gotten together and put forth a plan to accommodate them. Not a plan to where we give away the house, because as you mentioned earlier, there seems to be an economic renaissance going on in the South. A lot of companies are moving south. Well, a lot of companies, like garment factories and everything, move to India and to Mexico because of cheap labor. We want to make sure that that's not the case here. Of course, we don't want to turn away industry, but we want to make sure that our locals are afforded with an opportunity to work in that industry, and that all of the jobs are not just brought from the outside in. Workforce training opportunities. And we want to make sure that they're being paid a fair wage. The fracking, there's a lot of environmental concerns around fracking, and that's a discussion that we'll have to have as we move forward. We can't not be so focused on economic development to the point where we have to build more hospitals.
It's real basic. Our goal and my goal is to create good jobs, because good jobs raises everybody.
That's what we're there for. We're all team. We're one team trying to get the same thing, help this community grow. And that's what we're doing.
The easiest thing is to reach out to them, but the hardest thing is to open that door and being prepared for what you're ready to hear. Because, you know, when you open that door, don't assume that every request or concern is going to be one that's easy for you to respond to. So it's very challenging, but it's the job that we accepted to do, you know. And it's easy to close that door and say, "Oh no, God, I don't want to deal with that." But you know, that's not what the people elected us to do. The people elected us to hear their concerns and do what we can to address those concerns.